Hey, as we said before, to get the job, to get the first job, you gotta have experience. But how the hell you gonna have experience if your ass can't get the first job? The job market has changed again. This topic has been coming up over and over and over since like 2022, 2021. It's been the same narrative for 5 to 6 years. Well, I said 21. 5 years, 4 years, whatever. This topic of not being able to get jobs came up too many times. And we're gonna see what How Money Works got to say about it in this video. Let's go.
Over just the last 6 months, the job market has changed dramatically. Again. Back in the good old days of 2024, all workers had to worry about was ghost jobs, quiet firing, job washing, career cushioning, invisible overtime, application black holes, resenteeism, digital downsizing, compensation compression, burnout attrition, and when all else fails, good old-fashioned rolling layoffs. But today, the job market is dealing with a whole new set of trends. And don't worry, they come with a whole fresh list of dumb corporate buzzwords. New economic data, if we are allowed to believe that anymore, is revealing some stark realities about the ways that people are finding a job, keeping a job, and progressing in a job. Unfortunately, as you have probably already guessed, a lot of these changes are throwing young workers, and in particular young men, out of the frying pan and into the fire. For the first time ever, unemployment amongst young male college graduates is the same as non-graduates. The share of unemployed people entering the job market for the first time is the highest it has been since 1988. And job mobility has effectively frozen. Now, I know what you might be thinking.
See, I'm trying to figure out why that's the case, right? That's the statistics. But every time I turn around and you look at some kind of news blog or whatever, they say the job market has never been as strong. This is the strongest it's ever been in history. We hired 100,000 new workers just last month. Like, nigga, what? AI workers, my nigga? Because I'm not seeing none of the people out here getting jobs. I just ain't seeing it. Unless they include DoorDash and shit into that. Does that count? I don't know. It's somebody fudging the numbers. We need to figure out who.
All things considered, the unemployment rate still looks pretty good, right? Well, that might actually be part of the problem. And if all of this wasn't bad enough already, there is now a good chance that art history majors are earning more than you are.
So ever since you found out about AI, you've learned that your computer science degree is actually a complete joke?
New college graduates are facing one of the most challenging markets for entry-level jobs in a decade.
It's just like getting the first job that's so hard. I've tried to apply for jobs for like a year now.
Hey, as we said before, to get the first job, you gotta have experience. But how the hell you gonna have experience if your ass can't get the first job? What are we talking about? I remember I dealt with that for like 2 years after I graduated. Niggas is saying entry level role, associate developer, IT support or help desk level 1, nigga. That shit said 4 years of experience, my nigga. How am I getting 4 years on the help desk level 1? It don't make sense.
And just like most
I
of
don't
don't get back to me, or they just like say no.
I make fun of my college degree all the time because I'm not self-conscious, realize it wasn't worth it, even though society deems it as a great accomplishment.
I'm about to call my school up and say that this degree that I spent 4 years trying to get, 4 years, was a waste of money.
There is a funny but not totally inaccurate anecdote amongst business analysts that if you want to find an industry that's about to have really bad job security, then just look where all the Ivy League grads are going. For a while, that was oil and gas companies before the 1980s oil crisis. Then it was outsourcing operations before the Asian financial crisis, then early technology before the dot-com crash, finance before the global financial crisis, and now, over the most recent decade, it's been big tech paying huge salaries to talented graduates early in their careers. Now, obviously, there is a lot of hindsight here. Nothing can boom forever. And of course, a lot of young graduates from top schools are going to try to find a job that pays them as well as possible, if for no other reason than to start paying back that tuition. The problem is that everybody else sees these growing industries where people can make good money earlier in their career, and they try to get qualifications to move into those roles too. But no industry can boom forever, and by the time most people catch up, they find themselves overqualified for a role that doesn't exist anymore. For the last 10
And
years,
this is related, sorta, but y'all ever heard the saying, if everybody can get it, nobody can? Y'all ever heard that? It's basically, I guess, the idea that when things are more accessible than ever, for example, degrees, nigga, all these jobs, ain't nobody gonna get the job. That's the thing. Man, I remember the saying, hey, look, you go to school, you get your degree. Hey, you get a degree, you a step above everybody else. You ain't no step above no goddamn body. Everybody going to school now. You get your computer science degree like I did. Nigga, everybody got that shit. Man.
the story has
And see, in hindsight, that shit makes so much sense. It's like, yo, if everybody doing this, you're not a step above no more. A college degree is the new high school
been
diploma,
that
bro.
everybody getting laid off from their factory job should just learn to code. But before that, it was everybody should go and get an MBA. According to the Graduate Management Admissions Council, 2022, right after the dot-com crash, was the all-time peak of people enrolling in postgraduate business school in the hopes that it would boost their stalling careers. According to the numbers today, it looks like that well-intentioned but ultimately flawed advice may be going to college at
Exactly.
all.
See, that's what I'm saying. This is what I mean right here. This is what I mean right here. Non-college graduates unemployment, it was the highest. Clear. That's why they said go to school. But now that everybody's going to school, the shit is ultimately the same. The shit is the same playing field. Degree, no degree, these days is all the fucking same. Well, I guess not. You get a degree, you starting off with negative 40,000, negative 50,000 already, and you ain't even got a job yet.
As the
Let's talk about that.
unemployment rate is now the same between graduates and non-graduates. After this data went live, there were several articles concluding that this signifies the end of the higher education payoff, which is probably a bit of an oversimplification for the sake of hyperbole. This is absolutely a concerning trend, but there are two important details you need to understand about it before you go canceling that college admission. The first is that if both of these groups have the same rate of unemployment, that doesn't necessarily mean that the earnings advantage of college is gone. Looking for a job as a qualified engineer is normally going to be better than looking for a job as an unskilled laborer, so even though the same share of these two groups may be out of work, the earnings of the college graduates is still higher. Also, something
See,
I
I
feel
don't think
I need
so.
to repeat
I don't think so. I don't think in 2026 one necessarily correlates with the other. College graduate doesn't necessarily mean high earning anymore, because once you get into the workforce, there's always some kind of trainings, there's always opportunities for you to learn new things and build up your resume, getting you to those higher earnings. And the college degree doesn't do that. College degree doesn't offer you those real in the field trainings that's gonna get you where you need to be in any kind of career. It don't do it. They teach you the shit that's in the book, man. So I don't think that's accurate.
as often as I can, the unemployment rate is a really narrow statistic that people pay far too much attention to as a singular data point. To count as unemployed, you need to be out of the job and actively looking for more work. Today, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 72% of people with a bachelor's degree or higher qualification are actively working or looking for a job. That number is falling every year, which we will address soon. But it's still significantly higher than the 56% of high school graduates who are actively engaged in the labor force, and it's even worse for people who didn't graduate high school. But they are getting more involved, and again, we will get to why soon. For now, what you need to remember is that even though this particular statistic looks bad, and don't get me wrong, it is bad, you are still more likely to have a job and have a higher paying job with a college degree. But that's still not the whole calculation. Degrees are not free, and a lot of people are realizing that lifetime earnings are great and all, but sometimes a little bit of money early in life with no debt is better than more money later in life with big repayments the moment you are handed a piece of paper. The trend is that every
put
year...
the horn in there. I ain't got the horn. Hey, somebody put that in there. AKA me, because I'm the one editing this shit. Put that shit in there right now. Because in the end, when you get this degree and get that iPad job, it's the same shit, because them bills and them payments is coming, nigga. They coming to whoop on that ass. Oh my God. This shit is a scam, bro. This shit is a scam, nigga. You wait. If somebody graduate high school, start at 18, they start looking for a job. They might find a trade. Hell, they might go to Food Line. Shit, I don't know. But from 18 to 22, because that's when the four-year fucking university, right? Okay. By the time both of these people are 22, it's going to be the same shit. One is just going to have a cool piece of paper.
The math is looking a little bit worse, and that is something that should be carefully considered for any investment with a 40 or 50-year payoff period. But that's just the statistical details that you need to understand about this graduate unemployment problem. The second and much more important point is that this only applies to men. The unemployment gap for graduate women is lower than it has been historically, but is still pretty wide, and it's actually been growing at the same time the gap for men has been disappearing. And the question is, why? Well, this strange difference actually reveals a lot about other recent trends in the job market. So it's time to learn how money works to find out how it's all changing again. This week's video is sponsored by Cape. Cape is a privacy-first mobile carrier that gives necessary really sets them apart for is the changing payoff for job hopping. We've mentioned multiple times that workers who are overly loyal to their company statistically earn significantly less over their working careers when compared to those who hop jobs for promotions or pay bumps. But that has changed, and over the last year, the benefit has all but disappeared. Now, a little bit of that is because wage growth is just slowing down overall. But a larger trend is that the job market is encouraging staying put and doing
wage growth slowing down. According to the statistics, niggas love statistics. Wage growth is slowing down, but them prices ain't slowing down. Nah, them prices ain't slowing. They ain't slowed up. They I don't know when they slowed down. This shit ain't never been happening.
Absolutely nothing.
Gas is still $4 for that 93, nigga. That shit's killing me.
Nobody is hiring, nobody is leaving their job, nobody is pushing for a promotion, and nobody is doing anything that could open them up to the next round of layoffs. According to industry reports, some people are even avoiding new jobs that could be considered career advancements so they can stay with a company in a role where they are past probation and feel less at risk of being let go. This is also benefiting people in less boom and bust careers like those who went and got an arts degree. Generally, these people go into their fields because they are genuinely passionate about it over people who are chasing a lucrative career. They generally take less career risks and hold on to roles that they become extremely proficient at, which makes them harder to replace than random business and commerce graduate number A3113. This is not the best strategy in good times if all you care about was making money, but it gave them a head start on what everybody is doing right now, which is holding on to their job for dear life. This trend of people holding on to their roles has its own buzzword, because of course it has its own buzzword, and it's called job hugging. Overall, it's not a great sign when combined with
it's always fucking something with these jobs. Job hopping, job hunt, fuck it. I ain't even gonna say what I was gonna say.
With the less than stellar new jobs data, but it is the logical response by all parties dealing with increased uncertainty. Which is where we get back to this growing gap between young men and women in the workplace. There is a lot to unpack there, but there are three key differences driving this trend. The first is the push to equalize gender balance in certain roles, but not all roles. The push has been toward getting women into male-dominated fields that require a college degree like STEM and business management, but not as much the unskilled fields that are also dominated by men like the trades and labor roles. Women in STEM has been a big focus of government programs, corporate initiatives, and school enrollments for decades at this point, and it's been highly successful at opening up the field to more talent. This means that men are competing with a wider base of competition than they would have in the past, and the simple fact is that there are only so many of these jobs to go around. But at the same time, the men in roles that don't require...
That's what it is. That's what it is. There's only so many of the jobs to go around. It ain't got nothing to do with women competing and all that bullshit. It's nigga, it ain't no fucking jobs, okay? It ain't. It don't matter if you hire all men, all women. Somebody getting the short end of the stick, nigga. Somebody. Jeez, I mean, this shit is fucking ridiculous.
College degree haven't had the same increase in competition. This isn't a new trend. Before the pandemic shook up a lot of this data, male college grads had an unemployment rate of around 5%, while their non-graduate peers had an unemployment rate of 6%. Female college graduates at the same time had an unemployment rate of around 3%, but their non-graduate peers also had 6% unemployment, so the gap was much wider. Now, it's important to point out that there have been similar programs to try to get men into historically women-dominated graduate fields too, especially nursing, aged care, and elementary school teaching. But overall, they have been less successful. Now, there are a few reasons for this. If we are being completely honest with one another, there is still a stigma around this. A woman landing a role as an engineer or office executive is seen as empowerment, where a guy becoming a nurse is still the butt of the joke, and an elementary school teacher is the target of suspicion and raised eyebrows.
No comment, no
It
comment.
should not be like this, and it is getting better, but it's silly to pretend it doesn't exist. The second reason is that historically, these roles have not paid as well, and men have generally been attracted to more lucrative careers either because they need to support a family or simply because that's what they valued. The job market has changed faster than those cultural expectations, which is why men seek out more typically prestigious jobs. This current gap is a reflection of that reality. Safe, stable jobs like nursing are doing really well in a bad time thanks to an aging population, while we are on the tail end of trendy jobs that would have made a lot of money in a better environment. This also explains why unemployment amongst non-college educated men has been pretty stable, because construction, the trades, and other semi-skilled jobs have been pretty stable between increased home construction and infrastructure. You can also see the beating they took after construction slowdowns from the global financial crisis, which were
Exactly. There's been an overwhelming amount of development, at least here where I am. And I'm sure, like you said, this trades is steady for the most part. Cause again, you don't gotta go to school for that shit. You get your ass out there with that hard hat on and get to work. I mean, and this is exactly what I meant by niggas who don't go to school, 18 to 22, gonna be in the same position as if they did go to school. It's gonna be this. It's the same shit nowadays because shit is too accessible. School is too accessible. It's too easy to get loans. It's too many people getting the same degrees, and it's not enough jobs. If anything, most companies have a employee shortage. They don't want to hire nobody. They want to keep all the money in their pockets. That's really the issue.
were not nearly as bad for their college-educated peers. Now, these differences hurt women in the workforce too. When women do go into these trendy fields like technology, they actually tend to do worse when it comes to downsizing. A study on the recent round of tech layoffs sweeping the industry found that women accounted for 44% of job losses while only representing 28% of the workforce. Now, the companies obviously didn't release comprehensive data on why they chose to lay off
AI
who,
will replace
but
some
generally,
jobs.
there are three explanations for this. The first is that these companies may
See,
have
that
hired
shit
even-
right there is the problem. That shit right there is the problem. AI is fine, but how ultimately, if you replace AI, you can argue the efficiency, but we also know it's gonna line them pockets. That's what we know.
but they
that
still
shit,
segregated
I
genders
guarantee. I
within
wonder
different
what the
departments,
math is
hiring
on that.
more women for jobs.
If you had to, well, if you got some outsourced AI or something, let's say it costs you, I don't know, $20,000 a year to do the same job that you gotta pay this person $100.
HR, marketing,
wonder.
corporate culture, and internal development. These are, coincidentally, the first departments to get cut in downsizing. The second explanation is that in some ways, cultural expectations work for men. They are seen as a breadwinner supporting a family, where the #girlboss is more likely to land on their feet. This is another example of something that employers should clearly not be doing, but women are consistently judged more harshly in high-performing roles compared to men. Unfortunately, this often happens particularly from other women, who disproportionately work in departments like HR, which can have a lot of sway over layoff decisions. The third crude explanation is that hiring practices that targeted a diversity objective over just hiring the best person for the job favored people who would underperform compared to their peers. So when performance-based layoffs were conducted, these people were more likely to be below the cutoff. It's no secret that a lot of the cultural forward companies have pulled a hard 180 on a lot of these initiatives in the last year. Now, I am sure you
That
can
shit
probably
wasn't
tell,
profitable.
but I am trying to be really careful about sidestepping the whole culture war.
Nah,
rabbit hole
facts.
here. But it's still important to acknowledge these realities when looking at these issues, because even though it shouldn't, it will have a big impact on everybody's career.
I mean, yes, but regardless, I feel like we could argue, oh, because of this or that, women got laid off more than men, blah, blah. If you want to divide it up like that. But in the end, I feel like there's just not enough fucking jobs. Niggas is not hiring like they should be. They're using one person to do 3 different roles. They're now smacking the job listings all into one. This shit is fucking crazy.
One of the best things to do with this information is to use it to your advantage. Despite the stigma, one of the safest groups from trouble in the job market are men in previously female-dominated fields. Fields like healthcare already have a low unemployment rate, and men often find it particularly easy to get these roles because of the practical realities that they can more easily do a lot of the physical work these roles involve. This was dubbed the glass elevator effect all the way back in 1992 in a University of Texas article. It found that men often found it much easier to progress in these roles, and even though initial salaries were lower compared to male-dominated fields, after accounting for the higher chance of career progression, the lifetime earnings shifted back into their favor. Now obviously, don't pick a job because of some video on the internet. Healthcare and teaching are no joke, but also don't let some business school douchebag talk you out of it, because chances are you will end up earning more than them. Genuine professions like this are also more reliant on performance compared to office politics. Go and watch this video next to find out how we forgot what professional.
Alright, shouts out to How Money Works. Breaking that down. Look, I think it's mad funny that wages are low, prices are high, job listing / security, employment, I don't know. All that shit is in the fucking dumpster, man. Niggas can't get jobs, but yet we gotta pay all these bills and pay the high prices of groceries, gas, insurance, internet, all this. Everything going up besides the amount of jobs and the wages. Let me know in the comments how that shit makes sense. And you better only comment one thing. It don't. Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed that one. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see y'all in the next video.